Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is Adrian. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's play some more Empire Total War with the American Civil War mod as the United States. So in the last episode, we've just kind of built up the infrastructure a little bit, built up the economy. There's not too much that's happened. We're going to keep building up the economy, probably here in Ohio and Michigan, preferably Missouri as well. We'll actually might even start training up some troops here in the Missouri region, possibly some Zouaves. We're training up troops here in Kentucky. In fact, I think I will actually start doing this. Let's train up some Zouaves here in Missouri, just to keep some garrison troops. We might start expanding over here in the west as well. I would definitely love to develop some of these regions economically. And we have, let's see, about 3 turns or so until we have a formidable army here in Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia. So we're going to have to end the turn there. The Confederate States are almost for certain building up an army of their own. So we'll be fighting the war here pretty soon. It's already early March of 1861. Let's check out here. Chronicle slavery in the slave states. In Virginia before the Civil War, the ownership of persons held to service was commonplace throughout all classes and conditions of society. The whites held legal title to Africans as chattel under the common law of Virginia and used the labor of the slaves primarily as collateral for the payment of mortgages, family settlements, and negotiable instruments transferable to their banks anywhere in the South. Ooh. So there were 500,000 Africans in Virginia in 1857. 60,000 were free outright. Oh, wow. That's interesting. Uncle Tom's Cabin, or Life Among the Lowly, is an anti-slavery novel by American author Harriet Beecher Stowe. Published in 1852, the novel had a profound effect on attitudes towards African Americans and slavery in the United States, so much so in the latter case that the novel intensified the sectional conflict leading to the Civil War. And she was a Connecticut-born teacher of the Hartford Female Academy and an active abolitionist. It was the most best-selling novel of the 19th century. Holy shit. And the second best-selling book of that century following the Bible. Wow. Holy crap. It's the best novel and the second best-selling book. Because so the Bible is technically not a book because people sometimes don't regard it as fictional. It's credited with fueling the abolitionist cause in the 1850s. Wow. That's pretty cool. I actually never knew that. A new nation arises. Ooh, look at that. The Mexican Empire. Pretty cool. That's actually kind of interesting that they simulate that. So during this time in 1861... French troops had actually landed in Mexico and actually established a new empire, which was called the Mexican Empire, and put, God, what was his name? Maximilian I of Austria, of Habsburg-Lorraine, on the throne of the Mexican Empire. They called him Mexican Emperor, or the Emperor of Mexico. And so that's kind of cool. They simulate that. Here, look at that, the Mexican Empire. So I guess there's going to be a civil war between these guys. Let's go and check that out, actually. At war with Spain. Ooh, that's interesting. Imperialistic. Very interesting. Allies, Confederate States, and the Grenadine Confederation. I guess Mexico allied with the Confederate States. That's interesting. Let's see if we can trade with these guys. Cool. The more trade, the better. We actually make, right now, 8,000 off a trade. That's really good. So let's go and take a look here. We recruited Union State Militia in here in Kentucky. And as you can already see, the Confederates do have troops of their own. They actually have some Confederate State Militia and Confederate 12-pounders. So we're going to want some... Let's get a 12-pounder howitzer and a 6-pound gun. We have a construction report. We have a lot being built across the empire at the moment, across the realm. Let's go and get some farms. We're going to need those farms here. I'm going to go for a military governor's encampment in Michigan. About $13,000 so far. Yeah, definitely mines and farms are going to come in handy within the next 8 to 10 turns or so. We're just going to have to keep building up troops the best we can, though. Troops are going to be a major priority here within the next maybe 5 to 6 turns because we will be declaring war. I definitely need these transports as well because what we're going to do preferably is actually cut off most of the Confederate trade across the coast, just like what happened historically. Most of their trade actually came out of New Orleans here in Louisiana. They actually have 2 ports, one in Florida. They're building another one in Savannah, Georgia, and they already had one in Louisiana. And these were the 3 major commercial ports that the South used to export their cotton. And so if we're able to cut off all of those resources, they can't trade anything. So we'll have to make that happen so far by building up a fleet. The Union historically had better ships, but here, since we don't start with any ships or fleets, it could go any way. Although I have a feeling that we definitely do have an advantage in money. I think the South makes less money than we do. We make about 22,000 per turn. I think for certain the South makes less than that, and that has to be true. So I guess we'll find out at some time, though. Let's actually go ahead. Yeah, we will go ahead and get that commercial port. Let's get some farms. As you can see, the British do have troops here. They have Canadian militia. They have regulars, actually, British regulars here. Those guys are pretty decent troops. We'll have to watch out for them. Let's see. Okay, so the Kansas Territory, we possibly might have to look into building up some infrastructure. I think Illinois, let's see, Michigan and Ohio could probably use some infrastructure just if we have to get troops anywhere from maybe New York. I would imagine New York to Missouri is probably a pretty important railway. So we might have to look into that. Let's go ahead and end the turn here. It's funny that Britain is called Britain. It actually would have been called the United Kingdom at this point. Lincoln has been inaugurated on the 4th of March, 1861. Abraham Lincoln is inaugurated as the President of the United States of America. The new president states that he has no plans to end slavery in those states where it already exists. That's very true. So the personifications Johnny Reb or Johnny Rebel and Billy Yank are the national personifications of Southern and Northern troops. So Johnny Reb was usually what rebel soldiers were called in the Civil War, and then Billy Yank was usually what Loyalist troops were called. It was usually the Yankees versus the Rebs, or the Yankees versus the Dixies is what people usually refer to it as. Even today, if you're called either a Yankee or a Dixie, you know, that might have, I guess, kind of a connotation behind it, depending on where you are in the United States. Let's go and take a look here. So we have a lot of inventory at the moment. You can even see actually the unit models and stuff are pretty different. It's actually really cool. It's not perfect, but they look nice, I will admit. Let's see, so we're going to be getting cavalry and then artillery here. We already have some guns. I definitely want, I think, a few more infantry. Probably regulars, maybe some skirmishers if we have any. Skirmishers are here, actually. These 69th Pennsylvania infantry are actually skirmishers. These volunteers are line infantry. These West Virginia volunteers and the 76th Pennsylvania. 76th Pennsylvania are actually skirmishers. That means we want more line infantry, preferably. I think we'll go for, how about some regular Union infantry? You can actually only have 6 regiments of these guys. And maybe one more gun, either that or some more cav. We have, what, 2 units of cav so far? Maybe 4 would be preferable. 14-pounder James rifles. Probably not a bad idea to get some more James rifles. We'll do one more James rifle and then possibly one more 6. I think I'll get a 6-pounder, actually. That sounds like a good idea. Then here, we're already good there. Let's go and take a look. Make sure Frankfort, Kentucky. We actually do have a recruitment slot here, so I can do Michigan volunteers or Kentucky volunteers. The Michigan volunteers don't have a lot of morale. They only have 7, whereas the Kentucky volunteers actually have quite a bit more morale. So we're going to go ahead and get those guys. Yeah, we're going to want, let's see, what's the recruitment capacity? Recruitment capacity 4, military governor's encampment. This gives us recruitment capacity 4 here in Kentucky. We're going to want that because Kentucky is going to be a pretty important battleground. We have some Zouaves here in Missouri. I think that's fine. We can just leave that as is. Let's take a look. We have about $13,000. Let's go and upgrade the infrastructure here. I think preferably in Detroit, Michigan, and Lancaster, Ohio. We're already working on it in Illinois. We could even get, I'll go for that state house there. We're going to want to improve the infrastructure here in Rochester, New York, and Niagara, West New York. Niagara Falls, Rochester, and then Albany. Albany could probably use a military governor's encampment, possibly. State house for that taxation. That'd be pretty nice. Well, maybe not actually. I think I'll not spend any money for now. I'd rather get the roads and stuff first. So let's end the turn there. Okay, so it's now early April of 1861, and we now have the attack on Fort Sumter, which was, I believe, on April 15th, 1861, which is when the war started. When President Lincoln plans to send supplies to the Union-held Fort Sumter in Charleston Harbor, South Carolina, he alerts the Confederate authorities in advance. South Carolina, however, fears this to be a trick to supply the fort with munitions, and on the 10th of April, the surrender of the fort is demanded by the Confederate military authorities at Charleston. The garrison commander refuses, and 2 days later, the Confederate artillery batteries begin a bombardment on the fort, and the garrison surrendered at 2:30 p.m. in the afternoon on 13th of April with no loss of life on either side. And this was seen as an act of aggression, and the Union's refusal to quit the fort is seen as an act of aggression, and then the Union actually called to arms itself because they were obviously attacked. So at the outbreak of the American Civil War, the United States Army had 16,000 officers and men. Of these, 313 officers left to join the Confederate Army. Most of these guys were Some of the best officers in the Union Army. Robert E. Lee. Let's see who else joined. I believe Stonewall Jackson also joined, and a lot of these guys were actually West Point Military Academy graduates. So these guys were some of the best in the world. And then on the 15th of April, 1861, Abraham Lincoln calls on the governors of the Northern states to provide 75,000 militiamen to serve for 3 months to put down the insurrection, or in his own words, to invade, overrun, and subjugate the Southern states. In Virginia, North Carolina, Arkansas, and Tennessee actually refused to send troops and instead hold conventions on the question of secession and entry into the Confederacy. Kentucky and Missouri were also unwilling to supply men, but decided not to take sides in the conflict. So the governor of Pennsylvania offered 25 regiments, and Ohio offered 22. I know Massachusetts also sent troops down by rail, and many black Americans also attempted to join the army. And then actually Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, and what was the last? I think it was, let's see. Yeah, Virginia, North Carolina, Arkansas. That's what it was. And Tennessee all refused to send troops, and they actually ended up joining the Confederacy after this initial engagement. Constructions. We have troops now. We have some construction being done. So now we're going to be going to war. There's actually no declaration of war just yet. We can actually declare war whenever we personally want to. So we have more infantry on the way. I think we will go ahead and get these these Maryland volunteers. What else do I need? I have George B. McClellan as a general. We have a lot of infantry, some cav, 2 units of cav. I could use more artillery on the way, 2 more units. I think we're going to just deck out the rest of this army with artillery. We do need, let's see here. We have 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We need 4 more units of infantry. I think we're going to go for Pennsylvania bucktails. And that might be sufficient for now. Lancaster, Ohio. Game volume actually might be a little too low, wouldn't it? Should be a little better, hopefully. Okay, so let's check out any nations to trade with. No. Okay, we're still we're going to be at war with the Confederate States here pretty soon. They are allied with Mexico, which shouldn't be too hard of a problem because only Chihuahua is actually controlled by Mexico. Mexican Empire here actually has the Imperial Austrian legions here, Imperial anti-guerrillas, and some French troops, yeah. So I don't think the Mexican Republic is actually going to be too big of a deal for us. St. Louis, Missouri. Let's see. We do actually have troops here in Mississippi. So actually a 12-pounder Napoleon artillery. We have some Union Burgess Western sharpshooters. These are irregulars. We'll get some of those guys. How about Iowa volunteers? American Zwabs. Maybe Missouri volunteers. We have 8 morale. Not very good. We'll actually do 2 Missouri volunteers. Why don't we come over here to Kentucky and definitely try and fortify this area here. We do have pounders. These are 12-pounder howitzers and 6-pounder guns. These are U.S. militias. I've got some Kentucky volunteers on the way. We'll get some more of those guys. I'm going to have 5 units of them. That looks good to me. We're going to need a lot of infantry for a conflict here in Nashville, Tennessee. I wish I could fortify this with a fortress, actually, but I can't. That'd be a pretty damn good place to put a fortress. So as you can see here, the Confederate States and here us, the United States, it's actually pretty evenly matched, especially in the beginning, considering there are no standing armies. So whatever advantage in industry and manpower and stuff we have is really not going to kick in until later. It's going to make this game really interesting. We make 8,800 per turn from just trade, 4,000 in tax income. Wow. An officer school might be something to get. We got 30-pounder Parrott guns here. We have an officer school. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is going to be probably most important to actually upgrade here. This is 3,500 and 4,200 here. I think we'll hold off on that for now. Any other roads that we could build? Illinois, Minnesota, 4,000 for simple roads and railways. That might be something to do. So I think we will go for that. We're not going to train any troops in Minnesota, I don't think, for a little while. A lot of artillery that we can build here. No real infantry just yet because we don't have a barracks. Okay, we're going to go ahead and end the turn there. Let's see, what do they have in Virginia? Small token force, nothing crazy. Confederate States obviously want peace and they want like a sort of military alliance, right, to guarantee everything. I think they have another article about Robert E. Lee, I guess. Okay. New nation arises, the United States of Colombia. Let's check that out. So we have Colombia there. Ooh, interesting. Very interesting. So Venezuelan Republic, or the Venezuelan Republic and Colombia actually now exist separate from each other. We have William Seward He favors the status quo. So -1 happiness, -3% clamor for reform, and +1 happiness for citizens. Okay. Got a lot of buildings that were just built. We've got a lot of troops that are on the way too. Let's go ahead and get these buildings upgraded here. We have a lot of farms and stuff that we can build actually. An ordnance factory, that'll help us get some artillery later in the game. This is a textile mill. I'm gonna go for, I think, a state house. Anything that's not for military production, you're gonna want to get a state house in. About $4,000 here, state house. And then Kentucky, we're still training troops here in Kentucky. We're gonna go for, I think, those Kentucky volunteers. The Michigan volunteers are incredibly low quality troops. And we might be dealing with something here from Tennessee here pretty soon. Yeah, it definitely looks like they're shaping up for war. They've got actually a fairly large force there in Tennessee. Even Mississippi, actually, they're building up here in Mississippi for sure. It's a little more than I actually anticipated. So this army is going to be pretty useful. In fact, I might even use this army in St. Louis, Missouri, not to advance on Mississippi actually, but to advance on Tennessee. Take Tennessee, and then come back for Mississippi and Louisiana, because this mountain range here, the Appalachian Mountains here down to Tennessee, is actually going to defend us against Savannah, Georgia, North and South Carolina, and then Florida. So let's go and end the turn there. There we go. The Confederate States actually declared war. They marched an army into Washington, D.C. It is time for war, gentlemen. Early May of 1861, the Confederacy declares war. On the 6th of May, 1861, the Confederate States of America formally declares war in the United States, officially plunging the nation into civil war. The Confederate government in Richmond refuses to take the northern military buildup lying down and sees this as a direct threat to its own sovereignty. Yep. So this is a declaration of rebellion against the U.S. government, basically. That's what it is. State of Arkansas joined, the Confederacy, and the state of North Carolina also joined. And so basically at the beginning of the game, or at the beginning of the campaign of the American Civil War, there was this plan devised by a general called General Winfield Scott. And he basically claimed what was called the Anaconda Plan, and he called for a blockade of all Confederate ports, and actually moving up the Mississippi River, which is actually here, moving up the Mississippi River all along and strangling the Confederacy into oblivion, basically. So you'd have to take Jackson, Mississippi, New Orleans, Louisiana, preferably move down this river here and take hopefully Texas and New Mexico, but primarily cutting the Confederacy in two here in Mississippi, New Orleans, Louisiana was his primary goal. And actually, this is what the Union conducted, and it actually did work to a large degree. So we launched a steamship. Did we launch a steamship, or the enemy did? Actually, I guess the enemy might have launched a steamship. We still have 2 turns. Let's see here. We got a viewer in the Twitch chat. MMA Guy 23, hello and welcome. So let's take a look here. We're gonna want to engage this force, I think. It's a pretty small force, actually. We could march on for Richmond and Virginia here pretty soon. Let's go and try and march against this force. And this is Confederate Richmond Zwabs. We have some first Virginia Stonewall Brigade. And let's see, we got Virginia Volunteers, and we actually have 2 regiments of dragoons. So I think we will fight this battle. We're gonna go ahead and save this battle. This mod I've heard is actually a little unstable. So we're gonna see if we can fight these guys. I'm actually gonna go ahead and take a quick break here though, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment as always. If you're in the chat on Twitch, don't go anywhere, and we will see you guys soon.